Hello and welcome everyone. Today I would like to show you how to do the zipper connection between strands of mini grannies. And the zipper connection is what you see here. It's nice and flat. The back is neat too. And it's very simple. And that's the way I connect my mini strands. So I'm going to show you how that is done. To make the zipper connection, you have to understand the basic of these stitches, these mini grannies. Each mini granny has 3 double crochet and a chain stitch on either side, and between grannies there is also this PLT. So remember that when you're connecting, that you're always connecting 3 double crochets on one strand to 3 double crochets on the other strand. It should always match up, and you are only going to work in the back loops of each stitch. So in the back loops here of this side and the back loops on that side, but also in the back loop of the chain stitch and this PLT here. And if you can't see the PLT, you know it's there, so just grab it with your needle and pull it out a bit. So that will be the back loop of that PLT there. And the corner, the beginning, there are 2 chain stitches here. One chain stitch is going to be connected to the chain stitch on the opposite side, because only one chain stitch belongs to this side of the granny. The other chain stitch belongs to the top side of the granny, so keep that in mind too. We're going to make the same zipper seam as you see here between these 2 strands of minis. And to start that zipper seam, you could start with a slip knot like so on your hook. But I don't like to have a knot there, so I'm going to start differently. I'm just going to wrap it around the hook like so, and I'm going to start in that first chain stitch here. That's this one here, and you're going to use the back loops only, and the first back loop, the first chain, the back loop of the first chain on the other granny, and you're going to pull the yarn through. This first stitch is going to be a little bit complicated, but it's doable. So you're going to keep the yarn behind your work all the time, and you're just going to continue in the back loop. So the back loop of this double crochet is going to be connected to the back loop of that double crochet. Pull the yarn up and continue to the next one, and it should always be matching. So if you're connecting a double crochet on this side to a chain stitch on the other side, I suggest you check again that you might have missed a stitch somewhere. So here we are at the chain stitch. There's the back loop. Make sure you get the whole yarn. There you go. And there's the back loop of the opposite chain stitch. Pull yarn through. Then we have the PLT. There's the back loop, and the back loop is over there as well. So you know it's there. Sometimes you'll just have to look for it a bit and pull up the yarn. Then there's another chain stitch here, and a chain stitch on this side in the back loop gets connected to the chain stitch on this side in the back loop. And this is how you continue to the end, and then I'll show you how to fasten off. I'm at the end of the zipper seam, just one more double crochet here, and the last chain stitch. The other chain stitch, this one, the second one, belongs to this side of the mini granny. So, and there's a chain stitch there, just using the back loop only. So pull the yarn up, and then one stitch to close it all in. Cut the yarn, and oh, here's the scissor. Cut the yarn and pull it up, and the zipper seam is finished. Now you know how to do these zipper seams on the strands of mini granny squares, and I've been using a contrasting color here. When you do that, you should know that there will always be a bit of the color of this side shining through on that side of the seam. It's just very little, but it's there. I don't think it's a big problem, but I just wanted to tell you that that's normal. I've used a contrasting color here, but then both sides of these squares ended with the same color. So the black of this is shining through on that side, but it doesn't matter because it's black here as well. So this is something else. And the next thing I want to show you is when you do it in the same color. So here I used black to do the zipper seam, and all these squares ended with a round of black. And the next thing I'm going to show you is how to work this crossing here, and then you'll know everything you need to know about zipper seams. Making a zipper seam to connect all these 9 squares, and I've just made 9 minis, so then it's easier for me and quicker for me to show you, is actually just the same as we already did, but you have to go from these two to these two. And so I've done the zipper seam here, as I've showed you before. This last zipper stitch was made in the last chain of this side and the last chain of that side, in the back loops only. So we've made those stitches. Now you chain 1, and then you continue on this next set of squares. So you're going to continue in the back loop of this chain here, because that one chain belongs to this side of the granny, and that's the side we're going to connect to the other side. And also just pick that one chain there and keep your yarn at the back, your working yarn, and pull it through there. So it will be looking like this. There will be a little bit of space there, that's normal. And then you can continue with your zipper here till you end up here. Again, you'll have the last stitch made on this side in that one chain stitch here and one chain stitch there, and then we'll do that one more time. So here we have the 4 squares connected. I've made the last zipper stitch in the chain stitches of both those grannies, and chain 1 again, and then hop over to the next 2 squares that you want to connect. Again, pick the back loop of this chain here. Wait, so the back loop of that chain there, because that's on that side, and the back loop of that chain there. Pull yarn through and work the zipper as before till the end, fasten off, and this will be one zipper seam. Then you do the same here. I'm working that second zipper seam here, and there's one more granny square that I need to connect. And before I do that, I still have to do the chain 1, and then pick the back loop of the chain stitch there and the back loop of the chain stitch there, and go all the way to the end. And this is how these seams are made. But then we're not ready yet, because you will still need to do the vertical seams, and I'll show you that in a minute. Both horizontal zipper seams are ready now. I've worked both of them from the right to the left. I suggest doing that because then all the stitches will be in the same direction. That is neater. And now I'm going to turn my work, and I'm going to do these seams here, because these parts need to be connected too. And to do the zipper here, you already know how that works, but what happens here, I'll show you in a minute. Doing these crossover seams can be a little bit fiddly because you can't really reach in there anymore because this is connected. So what you could do is pull up that yarn that's in the back to get it to the front so that it's more visible for you to work in. And then once you get at that crossover point, you can flip it back to the back and we'll continue there. But this is just a bit fiddly, so that's all I wanted to show you. You can work this way too, so holding it all in the back, but there's a lot going on there. If you have it there and you grab it right, there's nothing wrong with that, and that will work too if you have it near your fingers, so that works too. And we're almost at the end of this mini granny. Now, granny square. There's the double crochets, connecting them in the back loops, and then there's one more chain stitch on each granny square that needs to be connected. So the back loop of this one and the back loop of that mini granny square. I'm going to insert the hook there, pull up the yarn from the back and pull it through there. It's teeny tiny bit fiddly. And now you chain one over this here. So chain one, and you continue here in the back loop of this chain and the back loop of that chain, and you will find a way to keep that yarn in the back at the best working position for you. So this is how that goes, and it will be connected. Here we have 6 minis connected, and these 3 are almost connected. They need one more seam here, and then these 9 will be connected, and you can use that for whatever you like to use it for. Where you started and finished, it will look like this. So if you are planning on making a round of single crochet, use this as a stitch, single crochet in here. So if you were to single crochet along here, single crochet in the chain space, in the zipper, and in this chain space, then you'll be sure that it's not going to be pulling or anything, and that will look good. So I think I've told you everything about zipper seams now, how to start, how to finish, and how to make the crossover. I hope everything was clear, and if you have any questions, just let me know. And I hope to see you in one of my next tutorials again.